everybody, welcome back. My name's Heather and this is the Fourth Star Knits podcast, a podcast about yarn and knitting, and there's usually quite a healthy dose of nonsense sprinkled in. You can find me on Ralvery as the Fourth Star, and you can find me on Instagram as the Fourth Star Knits. And I think that's all of the introduction stuff that needs to happen. So I have a new setup. I have a new phone. I bought the iPhone 12 Pro because of the fancy schmancy camera. And so I am trying to record on my new phone with just the camera facing, not the front facing camera. So basically where I'm going with this is I have no idea what I look like right now or if I'm in the shot. So until I kind of get acquainted with this new setup, there's gonna be some awkwardness. I mean, not that that's different from any other podcast, because there's always a ton of awkwardness when it comes to me, but there might be more awkwardness. So anyway, welcome back. And yeah, I have a ton of knitting stuff to talk about. Holy moly, you guys. Yeah, so I have so many finished objects, and I don't know what's going on right now, but I'm like a knitting fiend. Like I can't stop knitting. I think part of it is that I am taking some time off of work. I took 3 days off this past week for Thanksgiving. I'm gonna be taking off some more time throughout December. December tends to be kind of slow for us. Our nonprofit, that's kind of like a busy event month. So like people don't really want me like in the buildings messing around with their boilers and stuff. So around that time, so I can usually get away with taking a few weeks off, which is awesome. Can't wait. So yeah. So without further ado, oh, look at that. I'm using like YouTuber cliches now. Oh, man, I have arrived. Let's just talk about my finished objects because clearly I'm like really hyped up about this. So first things first, I finished my Soldotna crop. And for those of you who follow me on Instagram, you have seen the photos of this. You will have also seen that I posted about this before finishing my first cup of coffee in the morning. So here's what happened, you guys, story time. So I got up in the morning, I had finished it the night before and I had washed it and blocked it, and in the morning it was dry and ready to wear, like first thing in the morning. So I like got myself all dolled up, and I was hoping that I could catch my son before he started school for the day so that he could like snap a couple photos of me. So I'm just like rushing. And he took the photos, they turned out really cute. There was some silliness that happened, it was really fun. And in my haste to post, I called this the Jupiter crop. In fact, I hashtagged Jupiter crop because that is how just like out of it I was before I had my morning coffee. So what happened was the night before I had been looking at yarn. I had yarn in my cart on Etsy for the Jupiter crop. I was seriously thinking about, because I had just finished this one, and of course, you know, one comes off the needles and immediately you must cast on another one. So I was thinking about the Jupiter crop, and fortunately several of you caught me right away so that I could fix it. Social media is hard. Anyway, so yeah, this is the sweater. I have no idea how this looks in the shot right now, so hopefully it looks okay. Maybe I should like stand up. I don't know how that's gonna look in the shot. This might be super awkward, I don't know. Anyway, that's the sweater. I did knit the body longer because, you know, I had 3 kids, including twins, so the belly never quite went back the way it was supposed to, and I don't show that to many people. So yeah, it needs to be a little longer, but it looks super cute over all of my dresses. I have a couple of high-waisted skirts, and it's perfect. The yarn is so soft. I can wear it next to my skin. It's so yummy. It didn't bleed at all when I washed it, even with the issues that I had with the gray. Nothing happened. It came out perfect. No issues at all. It's not rubbing off on my skin after I washed it. Like everything has been just perfect. I can't say enough good things about this yarn. It is just so nice to knit with, and the colors are so, so, so pretty. Like, I hope these are coming out okay on camera. Again, I can't tell because I can't see myself. But they're just like super, super vibrant and wonderful, and I really love the sweater, so. Other than knitting the body a little longer than what the pattern called for, I did mess up because it wouldn't be a Heather project if I didn't mess it up in some way or another. So when I finished the yoke, I went to go split for the sleeves, and somehow I managed to split for the sleeves like not directly in the middle of the pattern, because somehow I had ended up with not enough stitches on my needles. So I must have missed some increases somewhere. I don't know where or how I did this, but so like the where the sleeves are split, they're a little bit like off, if that makes sense. So like there's less space in the back between where the sleeves split as in the front, but it blocked out fine. I did have a minor freak out about it, but once the sweater was long enough with after the sleeves split, I tried it on, and it sits just fine on my body. I don't think you can tell that I did that, but it doesn't really feel awkward or anything. And like I said, it doesn't look like there's an issue at all, but just full disclosure, I did mess it up because it's me, and that's what I do. Intermediate knitter at best here. So just a reminder. So that's that. Next up, I have another sweater. Look at me, you guys. So this is I can never remember which part. This is my Felix pullover. And it looks so dumpy when it's just like, you're just like holding it up or whatever, but this sweater is so, so great, you guys. I've been living in this sweater. It got really cold here. It's in the 30s. So for all of you who are living in a Celsius world, when it's in the 30s, it means it's below freezing. So pretty cool. So this is I have what I call outside sweaters. I don't know if this is just a Midwest thing or a Minnesota thing or just a weird Heather thing, but I have outside sweaters. This is an outside sweater. So that means that's what I wear instead of coats, because coats are terrible and completely unnecessary unless you live in the Arctic Circle, as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, I made the sleeves a little longer so that I could roll them up because I think this looks super cute. Yeah, I knit this in Let Lopi, which is a rustic yarn, but this does not bother me. I mean, I usually wear, you know, a thermal or something underneath it, because the whole point is that this is like your final outer layer when you're going outside. So there's always something underneath it, but it is surprisingly, like, it doesn't bother me at all. I did not wash this to block it or soak it to block it. I just very lightly steam blocked it, which is what I do with rustic yarns, because I just think washing them is unnecessary for the most part. And yeah, I am totally gonna knit another one. I think so this one I did with quite a bit of positive ease. As you can see, it's quite wide. This was the size 4, and I mostly did that because I went by the bust size, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about bust sizes and how that affects like how you knit, because this is a thing. But yeah, so it's a little wide. I think I'm going to knit another one that's the size 3 and see how that works out, because it'd be nice to have another one that's not in rustic yarn that is a little more fitted to wear inside. So that's kind of my plan. This is an Aran weight, and I think I can find something, you know, a different kind of yarn that's not an outside yarn, more like an inside yarn, if that makes sense. Listen, when you live in places as cold as I do, everything is divided between inside and outside. So it's very important that you build up layers so that when you're inside, you're comfortable, and when you go outside, you're just popping on like 1 or 2 extra layers, but it's not like changing the overall chemistry of your outfit, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know. So like all of my clothes are divided into like things I wear inside, things I wear outside, and the layers in between, if that makes sense. Yeah, if you're from Florida, this is gonna make no sense to you, but up here it's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So yeah, so that's my Felix pullover. Very, very pleased with that. And this is super quick to knit too, you guys. Oh my gosh. This would be really good gift knitting as well, because if you knit it a little big, it's like super cozy and it looks really cute, you know, just like, I don't know. I feel like this wrapped up with a red bow would be super cute, cozy, kind of Christmas knitting. But that's just me. I did not screw anything up on this sweater. Nothing. I didn't have to like make do with a mistake or rip it apart 1,000 times or anything like that. It just worked. I actually knit something without messing it up. So there it is. So that's that. I have more. And if you've been following me on Instagram, you will have seen some of these. So I was not ready to stop knitting with the beehive yarns that I made this sweater out of because it's just so yummy. And I had so much left over. When the kit came with 2 skeins of the gray, which is Cemetery Gates, 2 skeins of the brown, which is Foxtails, 1 skein of the green, which I don't remember the colorway, Emerald City maybe, and 1 skein of the variegated, which was I think called Tapestry. I had an entire untouched skein left of Cemetery Gates, which is the gray. I had almost the entire ball left of the Tapestry, an entire ball left of the green, and an entire ball of the brown, the foxtail colorway. So I had just a ton of yarn left over. So I just started making hats. So the first hat I made is for me, and this is the Nordic Cat Pattern. It's a free pattern on Ralvery. I will link it below. And it's just a very simple hat. And so this one I did with the variegated and then the brown. And there's some color work here. There's little X's and crosses, which you can't see very well in this combination. But this was just, I just wanted to see how this looked. And I kind of like that it looks all crazy and messy and it looks really cute. I knit it smaller so that it just like sits right here on my head. I'm not gonna put it on because, well, I can put it on. I don't care. You guys don't care what I look like, right? Hold on. Right, so I knit it small so that it just kind of like fits right on my head without any like slouch or anything like that. So that's that one. Then I knit one for the mister. Again, same pattern, Nordic Cat Pattern. And this one I did Cemetery Gates for the main color and Foxtails for the color work here. And I really like these colors together. He wears a lot of like browns and blacks together. So this goes really well with a lot of his outfits and it looks super cute on him. And yeah, again, really, really quick to knit. I just kind of blew through these really fast. This is a DK weight yarn. I don't know if I mentioned that before. So it knits up a little quicker. So again, this is a great hat pattern. It's super cute. And again, like, isn't this like cute, cozy kind of Christmas knitting? I think so. You could do like a white and a green, or, I mean, there's just, I don't know. Something about that like little colorwork pattern just screams like cozy Christmas knitting to me. So finish that one. Then I decided to do one in the green. This green is wild, you guys. Look at this green. This is like crazy, like Minecraft green. And I don't know if you can kind of see in there, but there's like little bits of like lime green and forest green and this, it's all, if green is your favorite color, this is a great yarn for you because it's like all the greens. So this one I knit, I don't know if I'm gonna keep this one or give it away, but this one I knit, it's got a little bit of a slouch in the back. But yeah, it knit up really, really quick. This is another free pattern. It's called, I want to say Violent Waffles, but that's not the name. I don't think anybody would name this hat Violent Waffles. Hold on, I better check my notes. Hold on. Violent Waffles? Violet Waffles. Wow. Okay, so Violet Waffles by, I don't know, J. Haldora is what I wrote down. I will link all these below and hopefully update the bars below with the pattern names and stuff. But yeah, really cute. Again, really quick to knit up. This will be another really good gift knit because there's tons of stretch here. So like you could just knit the one size and it's probably gonna fit anybody you know, other than a very tiny person or a very, very, very large person. But yeah, so really like that. And that's it. But that's pretty good, right? 5 finished objects. Man, and I almost had another one ready, but we actually like went out and did some things for once. So I was actually kind of busy. So yeah, that's it for finished objects. All right, so let's talk about whips. I have pretty much abandoned my Casapinka Sharon Show shawl. I have not knit on it at all, so I'm not even gonna show it. I can't even look at it without feeling guilty. I'm sure I will finish it at some point. I will get an itch to work on crazy stitches, and that'll be what, you know, what solves that itch. That's not how you say that. Scratches that itch? Yeah, that sounds right. But until then, it's just living in my big knitting basket here. I have not worked on my Close to You shawl either. I think I knit like maybe 5 rows on it. It's not worth showing. I've also not knit on the Husband's Favorite Socks by Twin Stitches. I think I am going to completely run out of yarn. I did some maths, and after I put the broken pieces of my brain back together, I realized that I am probably gonna get 3/4 through the second sock and completely run out of the yarn that I have, which is really, really sad. So I'm right now debating, do I continue with this very dangerous game of yarn chicken, or do I rip it out and get a different yarn, or do I try to like find a third color to somehow incorporate in there? I'm not really sure what to do. So because of my indecision, I have done nothing. So actual works in progress. Then I have 2 things that I'm really trying to finish right now. So I'm gonna make some more hats basically. And I wanted to make hats for, so two of my 3 sons have girlfriends, longtime girlfriends. And so Micah's girlfriend, Sophia, her favorite color is like this royal purple. So this isn't much yet. I'm just working on the brim, but I'm gonna pop in a picture of what this hat is gonna look like because it's super cute. It's called the, hold on, I'm gonna check my notes so I don't say something stupid like Violent Waffles again. Overlapping Leaves hat is what this is called. This is a bulky weight yarn. I have no idea what this yarn is. I pulled it out of my stash because I saw it and I'm like, yeah, that's Sophia's absolute favorite color. She has this hoodie that she wears all the time that's in this exact color. So I thought like, this is perfect. I don't know what the yarn is. I'm sure it's like a Lion brand, Thick and Quick or something like that. It's a bulky weight, but yeah. So this is gonna be a hat for Sophia. So this will probably get done today or tomorrow because it's knitting up very quick. I mean, I literally just started it and the brim's already done. So, and it's living here in my, my Crafty Like a Monkey bag. I like this one a lot with the snaps because it can kind of like pull the yarn out through the snaps. It's kind of an added benefit. I dig that quite a bit. So that's that. The other hat that I'm starting, I'm gonna do another Nordic hat. And this one I'm gonna do, so I also had some Let Lopi left over from my Felix pullover. And I was gonna pair it with this, and I was gonna do another Nordic hat. And this one's gonna be for Jonah's girlfriend, Annabella, because these are her colors. And I'm also going to, I really wanted to do knitting traditions. If you haven't watched her podcast, you need to. It's really, really good. Very, very calming and lots of good knitting chatter. She's doing a rustic knit along. So in order to enter, you have to knit with non-superwash like animal or plant fiber only, like no nylon, no plastic, no nothing. And I was like, dang, I watched the podcast where she talked about this knit along just as I was finishing my Felix pullover. And I was like, dang, that would have been perfect to do with this knit along, but so be it. So I'm like, well, I really want to do it. And this is non-superwash, rustic woolly wool, so this will qualify. So this is going to be another Nordic Cat. And that'll get done quick too. These hats are going so fast, you guys, I can't even tell you. And the Nordic Cat, it calls for DK, but I think it'll be fine in Aran weight as well. I'm just gonna kind of wing it. I'm gonna cast on the same amount of stitches and just see how wide the brim is after I do that part. I'm just gonna play it by ear, but I think it'll be fine. I'm gonna use the same size needles and I don't think it's gonna be a problem. So yeah, this is living in my Whimsy Stitches bag. Again, I just love this plastic panel. I know what's inside here. I don't have to guess. I don't have to dump anything out. It's like awesome. Okay, that's that. The last whip that I have right now is, and this one I was really hoping to get one of these socks done, but I have not. So this doesn't look like much to look at, but I'm really, really excited about this pattern. So these are gonna be the Magic Heel Socks by the Autumn Acorn. That's Judy. She also has a podcast, which is really, really good. She lives in a log cabin. So like there's just like the whole aesthetic of her podcast is like super cozy. So if you wanna feel like you're like up north in a cabin, all cozy, like chatting with your bestie, like that's the podcast for you. And she's an amazing knitter and knitwear designer. She just came out with this jacket. What is it called? I'll put the name below. It's like Frost Fairy or something like that. It is so freaking pretty. I'm putting it in my sweater queue. I definitely want that to be another like outside sweater. Well, it's a jacket, so I guess a jacket is an outside sweater. But yeah, she has it done. I'll put in a picture too. She has pictures of it done in white. So, so pretty. Anyway, these are the Magic Heel Socks. And honestly, like I was so excited to download the pattern and then see like what was going on with the heel. And when I read the pattern, I was like, seriously? So it was kind of like, I can't believe that that's gonna work. But as I'm thinking about it more and more, it totally is. And I'm so excited to see how these fit. So I'm not gonna give anything away. You should just go buy the pattern and try it. But if you are a knitter who is terrified of the idea of turning a heel, try this pattern. Just try it. It's gonna be different than knitted socks that have a heel flap and gusset, or even an afterthought heel or fish lips kiss heel or any heel like that. It's gonna be different on your foot, but I think, you know, her goal with this pattern, which she says on the pattern, is to, you know, make sure that the world's sock drawers are full of hand knitted lovely socks. This is gonna get you there. So no shame, just try it. So I'm at the heel right now and I haven't had to turn anything. I haven't had to pick up stitches. I haven't had to increase, decrease, nothing. I'm just still basically knitting a tube. Magic indeed. She's also doing a knit along for these socks. So if you want to hop on this bandwagon with us and join us on Instagram with us, feel free. It's been really fun because there's not a whole lot of people doing it right now. So we're kind of a small group. So it's kind of fun and we're all just like really excited to get these off our needles and walk around in them and see how they feel. This is leftover yarn from another pair of socks. This is Knitted Wit in one of the National Park colorways. I don't even remember which one. Maybe Acadia, Gates of the Arctic, I don't know. And then this yarn, I don't know what this is either. I went stash diving and I just liked how these two look together, and it's got some nylon in it, so I'm sure it's sock yarn, but I don't know what it is. It's a very, very pretty orange, pink, red kind of colorway. And that's kind of the fall vibe going on here right now. So I liked it. So yeah, I'm like a third of the way through the heel. So hopefully by the next podcast, I'll have a pair of these that I can show you off the needles, blocked and ready to go. So we'll see. My plan with these also, so another story time for you. So my friend Tracy, hi Tracy. Hi Bob, if you're listening to this in the background. Tracy's husband Bob and I used to work together, and we worked together at a contractor, and due to the nature of our positions, we ended up like talking to each other throughout the day a lot. And so Tracy was telling me that she was watching the podcast, and Bob's like, do I hear Heather in the background? I was really weirded out. So yeah, hi Bob. Anyway, Tracy is an amazing crocheter and is learning how to knit. And she actually bought like the sock loom thing. I'm so curious to see how this works out with her sock loom. If any of you have used the sock loom, let me know, because this is interesting stuff. Anyway, I'm like all over the place, I'm sorry. So Tracy bought some yarn, and she was going to, try to learn how to knit, and it's just learning, socks are kind of difficult. I feel like it's not necessarily a beginner's project, and it's mostly because of like turning the heel is where things get really crazy. Anybody can learn how to knit a tube, but turning the heel, that can be very stressful. So this is the yarn that she bought, and so what I'm gonna do is I wanted to test these out first, and they're turning out really well. So I was going to start a pair of socks for her on, these are the two yarns that she bought. I can't remember what this one is. This is Direful Yarns. This is in the colorway Jaws. Tracy's a big fan of Shark Week, so this is super appropriate for her. But so I think I'm gonna start these for her and then teach her how to finish it. She's totally gonna be able to knit these socks. Tracy, you can totally knit these socks. It's super easy. I believe in you. So yeah. So I'm gonna do that pair first, and then I'm gonna wind this up and cast this on and teach her how to knit the other one, I think. And hopefully that works out, because I think it'd be super fun to do it that way. So anyway, that's my story about that. And those are all of my works in project. My works in projects? My works in progress. Wow. I am going to wind up the yarn for my next sweater. That's the City Limits sweater that I bought that ginormous box of Direful yarn for. It's a lot of yarn to wind up, and I have to wind it all up before I start the sweater because there's a fade involved. Hi Beckett. And I've been so busy knitting these hats, like I just haven't had time to sit and wind. I wind all my yarn by hand because I don't like yarn cakes. I think they're weird. I just don't like the flat, I don't know. And I like to have my yarn in yarn bowls, and yarn cakes don't go well with yarn bowls. I don't know, it just doesn't. My yarn management is very specific because I'm just kind of weird that way. But yeah. I feel like it got really dark in here. I feel like the light was good and now it's not. Oh well, we'll just have to go with it, you guys. It's November in Chicagoland, so the light is not gonna be perfect. So I guess I can talk a little bit about acquisitions and some happy mail. So yesterday was Small Business Saturday, and I was sorely tempted. There were so many good sales, so many good dyers, and but I have so much yarn right now that needs to be knit up. I just couldn't justify it. I did buy some patterns though. Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady, she had a really good sale off of her patterns, so I bought the Battle for Hogwarts socks, Morning Coffee socks, and On the Hill fingerless knits, because I have tons of sock yarn, so I'll be able to use up a lot of my like one skeins, I think, or single skeins for one skein projects like those. So I felt justified. It was $6 for all of those patterns, because that's how good her sale was. It might still be going on right now, I'm not sure. I'll put a link below. I also bought 3 new sweater patterns because apparently I am super optimistic. No, I've been wanting to buy, so this is Jennifer Steingas. And you'll have seen her pattern. She has just beautiful color work. They're usually like $2 two color, kind of Scandinavian looking patterns, you know, top down kind of thing. Her aesthetic is very specific. Anyway, I've been wanting to try one of her patterns for a while, so I bought 3. But here's why I bought 3. I bought one in that calls for sock yarn or finger weight, one that calls for DK, and one that calls for worsted. So I figured as I am going along, if I find some yarn that I really love that I think would work for these, you know, no matter what the weight is, I'll just buy a sweater's quantity and I will cast on the sweater or whatever. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that stuff. So yeah, I have not, well, okay, so I did buy some yarn. I bought an advent, a yarn advent, because, you know, everybody else I know is buying one. And I didn't want to be left out. No, seriously. So I have a grandiose plan for 2021 that involves a lot of socks. And I was going to put together a calendar of sock knitting because, again, apparently I am super optimistic. Goodness only knows if I'm going to pull this off. But I was going through all these sock patterns. I got the new sock patterns from Crazy Sock Lady. I have all of my sock patterns from the Handmade Sock Society from Helen Stewart. And I was just going to lay all that out and try to figure out how long I think it would take me to knit every one of these patterns. And I have quite a bit of sock yarn already, and I know I'm going to have leftovers from this City Limits sweater. So what I want to do, what I think is going to happen is that, so this Advent, it's all mini skeins, right? So it'd be nice to have some other colors coming in to kind of supplement these leftovers that I have, because I've done a pretty good job of using up all the leftovers from my other finger weight shawls that I've completed, other socks that I've completed. So like I really don't have, yeah, these are all the mini skeins and leftovers really that I have. So this is pretty good. And a lot of these kind of go together, but a couple of them don't. So for like scrappy socks, or some of these patterns are really conducive to multiple colors. The Magic Heel sock especially, it's written for multiple colors, which I haven't tried. Probably should have said that earlier. I'm just gonna do a contrasting color on the cuff and the toe. But I'm just following the one color instructions right now. But I think if I had some other colors to kind of mix in, then I'll basically have, you know, enough yarn to do all of these sock patterns, which I'm kind of excited about. It just sounds really satisfying to me to be able to use up all of these leftovers with the addition of some mini skeins for like contrasting heels and toes and things like that. So that is my grandiose plan. Plus, I really just want to open a new mini skein of yarn every day in December. I just want to. So I am lucky enough that I can do that. So I forgot to mention the advent calendar that I bought was from Yarn Unique UK on Etsy, and I will link her below. And it is the Lucky Dip Sock Yarn Advent. I don't know if she has any left. I think she does, actually. I was very surprised. I mean, I bought mine kind of late. I bought it on Thanksgiving and she shipped it the very next day. So it's already on the way here, which is incredible. Like, I'm sure I'm not gonna get it by the 1st, but I don't really mind. It'll be fine. I'm just excited that I'm gonna have it for the month of December. So I think that's it for like knitting stuff. I did get some happy mail. This is pretty exciting. You can probably see this in the shot. There's only water in it right now, but so I got this from Kelly at Knit Swag. This is the most happy like grandma mug ever. I hope that nobody ever breaks this mug, knock on wood, because my kids break stuff all the time, but like I'm looking forward to having this mug forever because it's so perfect. It's so freaking girly and cozy, and it's got my name on it, and that makes me happy because it's very hard to find my name on things. Like, I feel like Heather is not that uncommon of a name, but it was very much an 80s name, and yeah, people don't name their kids Heather anymore. So yeah, it's hard to find things with my name on it. So this made me really happy. So I'll link her shop below. She's got an Etsy shop. She's got a ton of cute stuff. She's got phone cases and graphing paper. So like if you're into doing your own designing for color work and stuff, like she's got supplies for that. But yeah, super cute shop. Really cool. So yeah, very excited about that. Hey everybody, Future Heather here, popping in because as I'm editing the podcast, I started to realize some of the things that I forgot, and this one was really important. So Kelly from Knit Swag gave us a coupon code for her shop, and it is thefourthstar. I'll put a bar below so you know what to type in. So you go to her Etsy store and type that in. You can get 15% off all of her goodies, and that is running from, let me double check, December 3rd through December 11th. So thanks to Kelly for the coupon code. That was super cool of you to do. Okay, back to your regularly scheduled nonsense. Yeah, what else? So yeah, that's kind of it for knitting content. So yeah, if you were only here for the knitting stuff and you're gonna peace out, see you later. And if you want to stay around for some chit chat, then that's what we'll do next. Yeah, we'll chit chat. So yeah, other things that are going on. So do you notice how clean my windows are back here? So my son Micah cleaned these for me. I cannot believe that I have done, what is this, episode 12? I've done 11 episodes with these dirty windows behind me. Like, that is gonna bother me so much. I think it's because when I did a little like camera check or whatever with the new phone and the setup here, I could really see how dirty those windows were. Like, it was bad. So clean windows. I put up a little bit of like a festive garland or whatever. I have not decorated for Christmas yet. I haven't even taken down my Thanksgiving decorations. That'll probably happen, I would say, sometime this week or early next week. We'll see how that goes. We are gonna try to get away this upcoming weekend. So this is Thanksgiving weekend that I'm recording this. I'm gonna try to get this episode up today, but it'll probably be tomorrow, honestly. Yeah, so we're gonna try to get away. We rented a cabin for a couple days next weekend where we can bring, and if you can hear him in the background. Oh, let's see, where was I? Sorry, Amazon came, so the dog was all crazy and loud. I think I was talking about the Christmas decorations and the cabin. So we've been trying to figure out just anything to do that is safe during these kind of, COVID spike times. It has gotten pretty bad here in Chicagoland. And so, they've kind of rolled back some of the things we were allowed to do before. But anyway, so we got a cabin. It's in the state of Illinois, so I don't have to quarantine. For my job, if I leave the state and I come back, I have to quarantine for 2 weeks before I can return to any on-site work, which I don't want to do because in winter it tends to get busy, so I need to be available. So the cabin is here in Illinois. We're gonna go and stay the weekend. We can bring the dog because I'm not boarding animals right now. And yeah, I think it'll be really fun. It'll be good to just get out of the house. Like, I don't really leave the house anymore for anything other than going to, the facilities for the nonprofit that I work for. And other than that, I'm just at home. And normally we do quite a bit of traveling. We're very blessed and privileged that we can travel several times during the year. Typically, this year was supposed to be a big travel year, going to Norway and Sweden and visiting my family there. And then, typically the boyfriend and I will take a trip over winter break when the kids are with their dad. We'll head someplace warm for a while. And none of that happened or is going to happen. So to the cabin in the woods it is. I think that'll be cozy and nice. And it'll be fun to take the dog with us for once. And yeah, so we're doing that next weekend. And I will hopefully have the house decorated before we go, but we'll see. I'm not gonna put any pressure on myself to try and make like everything super Christmassy and perfect, because nothing about this year has been very festive or perfect. So I'm just kind of rolling with things. Yeah, we went to the Morton Arboretum the day after Thanksgiving to go see their Christmas light show. Normally it's called Illumination, and normally at the Arboretum, it's like an outdoor path that you walk. It's like a mile long. And they have all these amazing like LED light shows, and they just basically, it sounds very simple, but they basically just illuminate the trees in new and different ways. And there's music, and it's really lovely. So this year they did a drive-through version, which was very fun. So we did do that, and that put me a little bit in the spirit of things, but yeah, I'm just kind of having a tough time getting into it. So the other thing that I was thinking about doing is I received some encouragement to do Vlogmas, which after I spent some time on YouTube looking that up and looking at some other podcasters' previous Vlogmases, I thought, you know, I'm gonna be taking off a lot of time in December because that's basically the 1 month I'm able to. So yeah, I'm gonna have time off. So I will have some time to actually do that, and I think it would be good for my soul to focus on. It'll force me to do Christmassy things, basically, right? Because like, who wants to watch Vlogmas episodes when you're not doing anything fun and Christmassy? So I think if I'm forced to do it for good content, then I'll do it for myself, and I'll end up enjoying it. I think it gets more difficult when your kids get older and they aren't so taken up with the magic of Christmas. Like, I remember like when the kids were little, and I was married at the time, and the marriage was not good. It was not happy. So I spent a lot of time just being very, very upset and trying to make do with very, very little, because the person I was married to did not feel like it was his responsibility to work and support us. So we were very, very, very poor. And it just, I remember doing things even though I didn't feel like it for the sake of the kids. And that's really what kept me going, because you do it for the kids and you end up being happy in the process. But some days you get up and it just feels like it's impossible, It's like, how am I gonna, keep things happy and festive and wonderful when I don't feel happy and festive and wonderful? Like, I feel like running away screaming from this house and never coming back. It's really hard to have a holly jolly good time when you're in that place. So yeah, I think putting myself in a position where I have another reason to just get started on some Christmassy things will be a good thing for me, because my kids are older now. They don't believe in Santa, or like, I don't know, like, they enjoy that kind of stuff. I know they do, but it's not quite as motivating. It's not the same. So that brings to mind a funny story. So I have 3 sons. They're all teenagers. The twins are 17, and my youngest is going to be 15 in a week. And he is the most precocious child ever. He is get to the bottom of everything, facts only please, very black and white, like that kind of kid. So he discovered very early on that there was no Santa. He figured this out much earlier than his twin brothers did. And in the beginning, I homeschooled my children. I homeschooled them until the twins were in 1st grade, and then I was able to get a really good job at that point. So they went to school so that I could work because of said issue with my partner. So he goes to kindergarten, and it's Christmas time, and we get a phone call from the principal that they had Santa come visit the classroom, and bless his dear little heart, Jeremiah decided that that was a good time to tell all of the other kindergartners that Santa isn't real. And this dude was just some guy in a red suit pretending to be Santa, but Santa doesn't actually exist. And he thought he was doing all of these other children a big favor to pull them out of their, you know, I don't know, just, you guys, it was seriously the worst phone call to get ever. The principal called us and she was just like, yeah, you need to come get your kid. It was terrible. It was hilarious, but it was terrible. And we had to explain to him, like, you know, sometimes, you know, people like to believe in fun, magical things because it's fun and magical. And to Jeremiah, it's just not fun or magical to believe in things that aren't real. Like, he's very much like, if it's in front of him and he can see it, it's real. And if it's not, it doesn't exist. And that's okay. We need people like that in the world. Just probably not in kindergarten. I don't know. That's my plan, to do Vlogmas and to watch a lot of other podcasters' Vlogmases to continue to try to be in the spirit of things. I think this month is gonna be really hard, all things considered. We have been watching The Crown, which I know a lot of people are watching right now. I have been thoroughly enjoying it. I absolutely hate Prince Philip. Every time that man opens his mouth, I just want to punch him. I don't know how you all feel about that, but that's how I feel about it. It has been, it's just a really, really good show. And there's, I mean, it's a biopic, so it's not 100% historically accurate, but there is a lot that is historically accurate. And I enjoy that. I enjoy learning about events that I didn't know all the details to, and then having a reason to look them up on the internet and read more about it. Princess Margaret is definitely my favorite character. I just love her. But yeah, it's been really good. We also watched Uncut Gems. I don't think I've ever hated a movie more. Like, there was nothing about that movie that I liked other than The Weeknd is in it, and there's a scene where he performs and he's got a beautiful voice, and that was the only redeeming quality of that movie that I could see. Like, I don't know if there's anybody out there who's a huge fan of this movie. If you could explain to me what the point of this movie is, that would be great, because I didn't get it. For one thing, I have a really hard time when a lot of people are talking at once. And a good portion of the movie is a lot of people all talking at once. Like, Adam Sandler's character literally spends most of the movie yelling. It's like my worst nightmare, being around somebody who's yelling while a bunch of other people are yelling, and I can't understand anything that anybody's saying. Like, I had to get up and leave the room many, many times during this movie. I probably should have been drinking wine or something too to just like calm my nerves, because it was just terrible. And then we get to the end and I was just like, you know what? And the music was terrible other than The Weeknd, and just like everything was terrible. I hated it. I hated it so much. I hated everything about it. I hated the aesthetic. I hated the movie. I hated the plot. I hated the characters. I hated the yelling. I hated the music. I hated it. I hated the ending. I hated all of it. All of it was terrible. So do not recommend that movie. In short, do not recommend. What else have we watched? So that's really it. I haven't been watching a whole lot of TV. I've been trying to catch up on podcasts because I got really behind. So that's been really good. Just catching up and seeing what people are doing, like getting ready for the holidays and stuff like that. I have been listening to Audible a lot as well. I finished the first Outlander book. I downloaded the second, but I decided to take a break. I'm reading, and I don't even remember when I downloaded this book or why, or who recommended it or what, but it's called The Bone Witch. And I think I might have downloaded it around Halloween thinking it would be kind of like a fun, spooky, whatever. No, it's not a fun or spooky read. I think it's a young adult book. It's a fantasy book. But it is a very different, so if you read a lot of fantasy, especially a lot of YA fantasy, you'll know that there's a lot of tropes, and there's a lot of like the systems of magic tend to be very similar. This was a different type of system of magic, which I enjoyed. And the other thing I really liked is the protagonist is not a good person. It's kind of like if you were, for those of you who are Harry Potter fans, imagine that you were reading the biography of Tom Riddle before you knew that Voldemort existed. Okay? It's super interesting. It's super interesting. So you kind of like, you have a lot of understanding for this character and what she's going through, but ultimately like stuff is going down, you know? And it's like, I don't know, I really enjoyed that, and the story is really, really good. It really sucks you in. It's a trilogy, so I downloaded the second book and I started it already. So I think I'm gonna finish this trilogy, and it's a quick read. It's on Audible, and I think it was like 12 hours of listening. The narrator is not my favorite, but you know, so be it. But it was a good read. It's a really good read. So if you like fantasy and you like books about magic, and it's not so much about like witchcraft, it's more like how like Harry Potter is, you know, they're witches and wizards. It's kind of like that. It's also really interesting because there's a lot of Japanese culture thrown into this book and a lot of geisha culture. So it's interesting. I enjoyed it. I had no expectations for this book. Again, I don't even remember why I downloaded it. It might have just been like a free book on Audible for all I know. Like sometimes I just, you know, I'm just looking on the website and some like the cover gets me or something. I'm just like, bloop, download. But yeah, highly recommend The Bone Witch. And that's really all I've been reading, is that I have not cracked a physical book in forever. I was supposed to start this other book for a book club, and I just never, it's just not gonna happen. And you know what? That's okay. That's okay. I can't do all the things, and that's all right. I think sometimes we need to give ourselves the grace to just not do things. Yeah, and that's about it. Not too much else to report. It's been fairly quiet around here now that Thanksgiving is done, and just gonna start doing our, you know, getting ready for Christmas, that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's all I have for right now. I'm not exactly sure what my Vlogmas schedule is gonna be like. I will figure that out as I go. Again, I'm not gonna put pressure on myself. I've never done one before. Vlogging is really different than podcasting, I feel like, because like here I just kind of like, I, you know, set all my knitting out and just kind of chat to you, and it's very linear, and well, not very linear. It's more linear than vlogging, I think. But to remember to like pick up the camera and record things and talk about things during the day, like I feel like that's going to be a little bit of a challenge for me. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm really enjoying my new camera on my phone. So I want to be able to use it and document some things, especially in this weird year that we're having. I just feel like this would be the year to document, right? So we can remember what all this craziness was like. Anyway, that's it for now. Thanks so much for joining me again. Thanks so much for liking and subscribing and doing all of that stuff. I really appreciate it. And I will catch you on the next one. I hope you have a great week and you're staying safe and staying strong. And yeah, bye for now.